everyone, if you're here to make a monkey fist, just make sure that you have your rope and your marble and we can get started. When we're making our monkey fist, we want to pick one hand that's going to hold the marble and the string through the whole process. I use my left hand because I'm right-handed, so I think that that's easier. When I do that, I'm going to take my left hand and my top two fingers, put my marble there, and hold it so it's nice and tight. We don't want it slipping. Then I'm going to take my string and pick one end to leave a tail out. Not too short, maybe 7-8 inches. I'm going to put that in front of the marble on those two fingers, and it's going to stay there. Then I'm going to take the rest of this rope, the long side, and that's what I'm going to be working with through the whole monkey fist. Before we get started, remember what your marble color is. Mine is orange, but yours might be different. You want to remember what the color is so that once it's all covered up by the rope, you can tell whoever you give it to. So now that we're set up, we're going to make sure that our short string or tail stays in front of my fingers. I'm going to take this long and wrap it around. I'm going to wrap it around the back to the front, around. And I'm going to do that 2 times since I already had one in the front until I have 3 across. Now I'm going to fix it a little bit. I want it to be a little bit tighter. I don't want holes between those ropes. I want it to look just like this. I'm going to double check. I have 3 across the front, 3 across the back, and I'm ready to move on. Now I'm going to take that long string that we've been working with, wrap it just around my bottom finger that's holding the marble, and then take it and feed it through and around the middle part of my fingers. So it needs to make sure it goes around the bottom part here and then around and through the fingers. When you do that, make sure that it's as low as it can go in that middle space. Then we're going to keep going until we have 3 across at every point. So if I do it 2 more times and then check, I have 3 on the front, 3 on the back, and I'm ready to go on. Now here it gets a little bit tricky. I'm going to give my long string a little tug, not too much, just to make sure that that marble is as snug as it can be in there. Because now we're going to shift it off of your fingers. I'm going to wiggle it off, being careful not to lose the marble. Once it comes off the fingers, I like to take that left hand or the hand that was holding the marble before and hold it around here. Make sure that my marble doesn't slip, make sure that it's in the middle of all those rope. Now, we need to feed it through the last way, which is through the middle here. We're going to go the top, then grab it again, and go through the bottom. When you do this, make sure it's as far to the left as possible. You want it to be close to that side where the rope came from before. We're going to do that until we have 3 in every spot. So we keep feeding it through. Make sure that they don't get tangled. See how all of mine go in a row? I did that one first, then that one, then that one. We don't want them to crisscross because that won't make a good monkey fist. Now, here is where we're going to make an exception. If I look right now, I have 3 strings across inside, I have 3 on the back. But if I leave this one hanging here, I only have 2 on the front. So I'm going to feed it through one more time. This means that for this one point, there are going to be 4 across on the upper inside, but 3 on the sides that you see. Now all of our rope is where we need it to be, and we just need to tighten. Different people do this different ways, and you can play with it. The way that I like to do it is to find that short string, that tail that I left hanging off at the beginning, and give it a little tug, a nice light one, to see where it goes. Those will be your longest leftover rope. From there, I like to give it a tug at the opposite side and loosely tighten those long pieces so that my marble is nice and snug. You should get it to a point where you can get rid of those really long loops and have it come out on that tail end. Now I have a monkey fist. It's still really loose, so I need to tighten it, but the shape should look right. I'm going to double check all of my sides. I have 3 everywhere, and I don't see my marble anywhere. I like to give it kind of a pat on the sides to make sure that it's the shape I want and that my marble is really in the middle. Now we need to tighten. I'm going to take those 2 strings and look down to the ends. I see that one string is a lot longer. I want to tighten from that side so that at the end, my strings end up even. With that, I'm going to take that long string, follow it back to my monkey fist, and that's where I'm going to start tightening. I'm going to pull out some amount of that long string, and then I'm going to follow that through the monkey fist, tightening as I go. Now, once you get to that kind of second loop, you can give it a nice tug because we want it to get nice and tight this time. I'm going to keep feeding it through. Making sure nothing gets crisscrossed, and then I'm giving it a good tug every time so that it gets nice and tight. Now when I get to this point, it's going to turn. This is where we changed at the beginning when we turned from going around our fingers to going in the middle of them. I just need to make sure that I keep track of which way my string is feeding so that I don't accidentally turn around. I'm going to keep going, making sure to get it tight, but also we don't want to see any marble. I see a little marble poking through there. I can always stop and kind of move my ropes, give it a nice pat until that's closed again, so that I make sure that at the end, no one can spy on that color of the marble. I'm going to keep going around. I hit my second turn here, so I can feed it around that last turn, and then this should be the last set that I need to tighten. I ended up with a pretty long loop going around here because I left my ends were very uneven. Yours might not be that big, and that's okay. Keep going around until hit the end, pull out that final string, give it a final look. It looks tight. I don't see my marble anywhere. It looks how I want it to look. So then I'm going to go to the ends of my strings, and I get to the end and they're not quite even. This is okay if you want. You could also go back through and tighten a little bit the other direction until they're perfectly even. If you're happy with this amount though, then all we're going to do is tie off the ends. So I'm going to take one end, loop it around the opposite string, tuck it through, and pull tight so that this string is tied around the opposite end. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Tie it around the opposite side, tuck it through, pull tight, and now you can make that as long as you need or as short as you want. And that's how you make a monkey fist.